Okay, recording. Everyone can still see the screen and everything.
Yep.
All right, well, hopefully I can still add people. Yeah, all right. You can't see the attendee list, can you, on my screen?
No.
Okay. All right, great. So welcome everyone. I'm Luisa Castellanos, co-founder of Science on Call, and I am joined here with a couple of other experts in restaurant technology. So if you both want to introduce yourselves, we'll kick it off in just a few minutes. We're going to talk all about online ordering for restaurants, a very exciting topic. Lots to talk about as far as technology, the trends that we're seeing, some of the issues that restaurant operators are having.
Awesome.
So, Javier, why don't you introduce yourself?
Absolutely. Good morning, everyone. My name is Javier Haro, and I am the founder of Food Hero. We are a culinary school and shared kitchen. It will be opening in Little Village in second quarter of 2021. Currently, we provide restaurant consulting, technical assistance to a lot of small operators in Little Village and in Pilsen. However, we're expanding our services throughout Chicago. I'll tell you a little bit more as we go along. Mila?
Hey, my name is Mila Perez, and I'm the founder of Nopalito Creatives Inc. and Nopalito Delivery Service. And the problem that we're trying to solve is closing food desert gaps and providing affordable delivery and third-party delivering solutions for small restaurants.
Awesome. And so another reason why we are on this call today is to talk about a new opportunity for restaurants that is coming from the Little Village Community Foundation. It's called the Road to Recovery Grant. This is a grant that I'll actually let Javier talk a little bit more about, but it's a great resource for restaurants to actually implement some of the technologies that we'll talk about today.
Yeah, thanks, Luisa. So yeah, recently the Little Village Community Foundation was awarded a little over $500,000 to help a lot of these small businesses in Little Village. This grant is only for Little Village businesses. That grant ranges from 1,000 to 3,000. If you know a business in Little Village that you think is eligible, please, share this information. To apply is really simple. All you have to do is text the word Becca, which translates to grant. Some people call it scholarship, to the phone number that's listed there. And it would basically put you in queue to one of the team members at the foundation to have a representative follow up with you for a more thorough application. But it's pretty simple. The foundation, the McCormick Foundation, which is the funder, really felt it was important to keep the second highest revenue producing corridor alive. And the reason I say that alive is because of the pandemic. Yes, a lot of businesses have suffered, but this corridor has suffered a little bit more because they weren't able to apply for a lot of the PP loans just because they've done their business the same way for 20, 30 years. And some of the financials weren't in order in place as it should have been. And others didn't have, the resources or the experts to really guide them along the application process. For many of the operators, English is not their first language. And so there are some challenges. If you go to the next slide, Luisa, this grant could be applied for PPE, any type of COVID training, supplies you may need for your restaurant or business. Obviously, accounting, making sure that you have a CPA to look over your financials and or give you, financial advice. Technology, which is the reason we're here today. We are dealing with a community of businesses that are digitally disconnected. They're still doing business the traditional way, but we need to get them connected to the technologies like online ordering, delivery, things of that nature, taking credit cards. Some of the businesses still take cash. Cash, nothing wrong with cash, but as you know, we are going into a cashless society, and so we need to make sure that these businesses are adopting some of these new technologies. Businesses can also use their grant for labor and food cost management, and if they have a mortgage and or rent for their business, they could also use um, this grant towards that. So once again, this is a grant specifically for Little Village businesses. However, as an organization, Food Hero is always looking for other opportunities when it comes to grants for businesses in general throughout the Cook County. So if you are interested, we will definitely be sharing that type of information in the days and weeks to come.
Great.
Right.
Perfect. And on that note, really the purpose of this presentation today is to really help restaurants understand what does it cost to implement some of these technologies, what are the popular trends as far as the technologies that they're using, just what can we do to help restaurants. And I think I have two really great experts on the call with me today so that we can get some useful information not only to Little Village restaurants but small businesses all over the country that are struggling. So a couple of questions that we typically see restaurants are asking around technology, not even about the technology itself, but what helps them make those decisions. And so really the biggest thing is, who is your customer? Is it millennials? Is it families? Is it college students? Are they on social media? You really need to know your customer to know what type of tools to use to target them. So as we're talking about online ordering, if your customers are normally walking in and placing an order, that'll determine different technologies you use versus customers who are sitting on the couch ordering, giant meals every day for their family. Another question that operators are asking, or we recommend that they ask themselves, are what are the issues that you're having? So are you spending a lot of time analyzing your reports to see what's your top selling item? Are you spending a lot of time trying to get online orders to integrate with your point of sale? If those are issues that you're having, it's likely that maybe you need a technology to help serve you better. And a lot of restaurants are busy with, understanding what the latest safety regulations are, understanding the rent forbearance, or everything going on with COVID. One thing that they're probably not spending a lot of time on is researching technologies. They're probably using whatever point of sale their bank told them to use, or maybe the restaurant next door told them to use. It's not on the top of the operator's mind. So we really just want to get people more in the habit of keeping up to date with the latest trends in technology, especially if all the orders you're taking are online orders. If those online orders don't come through, then that means you'll probably run out of business because you're not able to accept those orders. Did any of you have anything else to add? I sort of rambled a little bit there, but these are really the big questions that we want to cover on this call.
No, I think you hit the nail on the head. We ought to know who your customer, and I think because of the pandemic, maybe your customer traditionally was folks within a certain mile radius, and you were fine without having some of these technologies. But because of where the industry is shifting, because of the pandemic, your customer is probably not coming as often as they should or could. And so now you have to start thinking about how I can adapt my business to reach those customers. The pandemic, the data is there to show that they're not going out as much, right? And so now we have to adjust. That means that they want to order, they want something quick, and preferably if they could pick it up or if you could deliver it, that's what the customers are asking for, just because of where we're at in our current economic as well as pandemic crisis.
Exactly. Yeah, I threw this picture in there just to represent, the operator daily struggle of making sure the technology is working while also taking orders and making sure that the equipment in the kitchen is working. Operators are so busy that they sometimes don't have time to, you know, change their technology. They just keep doing what they're doing and hope that it works. Just a couple other points that I want to talk about on this call are, we already sort of touched on this, but allowing customers to order the way that they want. So is that via text, via phone call, via a menu online, in person, you know, just really understanding the best ways to take orders. And then we'll also talk a little bit about digital menus. So having a website that's up to date, having a menu on your social media, or maybe it's just printing out a photo of your menu and hanging it outside of your restaurant for placing orders. And then one of the really most important things that I want to talk about is the idea of internet connection. And so a lot of operators just assume that they can set up basic internet and expect operations to run smoothly. But now with most of their orders coming online, if that connection is not stable, if there's a local outage, if there's a you know, cable that gets chewed through or something like that, you'll lose orders very quickly. And that's, you know, if that's your main source of income, that's a big deal. So we'll talk about how to set that up and make sure you're getting those orders flowing. And just a little plug about what we do, my company Science on Call, we are an IT help desk for restaurants. So if the internet goes down or orders aren't printing, our customers call us directly and we diagnose the problem and solve it within minutes so that the operator doesn't have to deal with it. So just knowing who to call. If you don't know how to fix something, that's a resource that we provide, but it's also just important to make sure you know what to do when internet and technology isn't working. And if you didn't already know this, there are over 1 million restaurants in the US, and they're all suffering from the same issues of the shutdown. And so this is sort of just to show the severity of the issue. And, you know, we're very focused on Chicago right now, but there's restaurants all over the country that are, you know, some of them are taking orders on the patio. Some of them are allowed to have diners inside. It depends where you're at, but we're seeing in Chicago, the winter approaching. This means that online ordering is more important than ever. So do either of you want to talk a little bit about what your experiences have been, maybe some examples of restaurants you've been working with, and how they're using technology right now?
I could pop in. So the goal of Nopalito delivery is to provide affordable delivery and an e-commerce platform. That that folks who don't use these large like Grubhubs, Uber Eat systems, because sorry, just give me one minute. This is my first webinar, so I'm a little nervous, guys.
You're good. You're doing good.
Yeah. So our goal is to provide affordable delivery. I've worked with not-for-profits that have tried their best to like scale their like delivery systems, but other options are way too expensive. There's huge fees. There's other delivery platforms want to charge like 15 to 30%. So we've seen a lot of our favorite restaurants, a lot of our favorite businesses close their doors for the last time. Or there's other places that have all of these systems, but their internet connection isn't great. So they're paying all of these activation fees. They're paying all of the fees that go along with all of these systems, but again, they are losing orders. So this is an ongoing issue. So this is definitely a need for this type of system.
Yeah, no, that's great. And that's why I, was really excited that you would be on the call today, because you're coming from the perspective of the operators trying to do the actual delivery. And so we'll talk about it in a few minutes. How do you get from taking orders in person to getting orders taken online? It's a big hurdle. And not having the technology expertise, I think your company is a really great resource for operators to set up that experience without having to really understand the technology and the, you know, all the tools that they need to make that happen.
One thing I would like to add is what I've seen with restaurants, some have used some of these third-party delivery platforms, and some have seen some mild success and some have really not. And because they've used the platform, they get discouraged to even consider implementing their own system. Well, I already tried Uber, Grubhub. Some of them have all the dashboards, and they saw very little success, so they don't believe in online ordering in general. And so they said, hey, if I couldn't make it doing these platforms, why start my own system? Well, at the end of the day, we still have to think about business fundamentals, right? Is your menu good? Have you started branding? Are you marketing, engaging with your customers? That doesn't go away, right? The platforms are a tool and a platform that can help generate revenue, but you can't be so reliant on it. So some of the basic fundamentals are still true to that business, right? Are they engaging with their customer? Do they know who their customer is? Are they branding themselves? And I think that's very important. If you do those basic fundamentals, when you add your own online ordering system, and if you ever consider doing a delivery, then that's a continuous of what you're already doing. And so I think there's a lot of confusion among operators that think this is the magic pill, right, that's going to help solve their problem. This is just another channel or way of increasing sales, but you still have to do, the outstanding customer service. You still have to make sure your food is consistent, and the quality of food is still there. Because at the end of the day, your customers are still talking about your branding, your food. So that doesn't go away. But my point in summary is there's this confusion that some people don't want to do their own online ordering system because they've already tested some
Mm-hmm.
of those platforms, and they think that what didn't work, so therefore I can't do it, or I don't want to do it again. And I've just been really shocked that that's been the perception of some of the small businesses.
That's great. Yeah, we always say this at our company, but restaurant people aren't IT people. Like they
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't be running a restaurant if they knew how to set up an online ordering system or if they knew how to run a cable from their printer. And so exactly what you said, they try it, it doesn't work, and then they give up and think,
Mm-hmm.
well, this is just not going to happen for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I sort of want to walk through the process of looking at what system a restaurant has in place. And so Mila, I know you touched on this, but a lot of restaurants are, or I think you both touched on this, but just the idea of being cash only and what systems they have to set up. And so when we talk to a new customer, we always look at what point of sale they're using. This is the first step to understanding, can they actually take online orders in-house? So a lot of the really popular point of sale systems, like Square or Toast or Upserve, those are ones that you'll see a lot at some restaurants in Chicago have set up. If you look at the features that some of these systems have, it's actually possible for them to accept orders without having to set up any additional hardware, without having to build a new website. It's very drag and drop, throw your menu in, start taking orders. And so that's something that any operator can do, is just look at what point of sale they have. The downside is if they're just taking cash and have an old-fashioned cash register, that's not the case, and they will need something additional, which we'll talk about in a little bit. So that's always the first step. If a recipient of the grant wants to set up a new point of sale system, we've worked with all of the most popular point of sale systems. Some have more robust features, but cost a little bit more. There's some that are nearly free. All you pay is a credit card processing fee, which is sort of my next point on here, making sure that you are paying a processing fee that isn't going to run you out of business. So some credit card processing fees, they usually range from about 1.7 to maybe up to 3%. And depending on, what your average order is, how much processing you're doing per year, you can sometimes work with these payment processors to get a lower rate. And so it's not out of bound to an operator to take credit cards. With the movement towards contactless payment and what Javier said about a more cashless society, it's really important that you can find a way to take credit cards. There are people who won't go to your restaurant because you don't take credit cards. That's customers you're losing, unfortunately. I know you don't have to pay that 2.9%, but you could have had, a $40 meal order come through just because you couldn't take credit cards. And so we talked about the features, making sure that the system works with any, do you need to track payroll? Do you need to integrate marketing? There are a lot of really robust point of sale systems that can allow you to do those things.
Awesome. I just would like to add, I had a good example. I met with a business this morning, and she was taking cash. She had an ATM, and traditionally you saw a lot of businesses that way. But I said, listen, I'm gonna tell you a story. Me myself as a consumer, and I think I speak for a lot of consumers near your area. She doesn't have a parking lot, and the street is on 26th Street, so it's very busy. I said, for me to come and patronize your business, not only do I have to find parking, I probably have to walk 2 or 3 blocks just to come to your restaurant. So imagine if you had either curbside pickup along with online ordering, or you had one of your servers with a handheld tablet that can take my order. I am more likely to not only order, pay ahead, but know that my order can be ready in 10, 15 minutes. I said, imagine how many more people are like that. And I said, I don't just speak for myself. I don't think I'm that unique. He goes, that's just the nature of the situation that's going on because you don't have parking and so on and so forth. I think that was really eye-opening for her, and she didn't realize it because traditionally people, walk to her restaurant or, park, but those times are changing. And so that was a little wake up call, but I share that story because I think there are a lot of restaurants that don't have parking lots that are in busy corridors. And so these are some of the thought processes we need to start thinking about is what does that customer look like today, right?
Yeah, that goes back to what we talked about at the beginning of knowing your customer. And I think a lot of operators previous to this pandemic had never really realized that shift was happening where people were placing orders online until COVID hit. And now it's, a huge percentage of their orders are coming online and customers are demanding a different way of paying. It was happening before, but now it's accelerated.
Yeah.
So having those conversations, maybe it's just asking customers when they come in how their experience was. Were they able to place an order online? Was the order ready when they thought it would be ready? Were they able to pay the way they wanted to pay? Because if you're turning down customers, that's going to run you out of business too.
Yeah. And I really like the idea of the handheld POS or the tablet online ordering. So because you are in a busy corridor, imagine if I had 1 or 2 people working the sidewalk per se, right? How much more business can I get? I've been really amazed of the Chick-fil-A model. Even though they have their drive-through and people could go inside and order, they have all of their team members with tablets on hand and just taking people's orders, obviously for efficiency, speed, but at the same time convenience. And that's, I think, is a big buzzword right now is convenience. How do you make this whole experience, very easy and simple? And so just a lot of things that I'm seeing.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so we talked about the point of sale, the handheld tablets. Obviously, it's still time consuming and expensive to set something like that up, but it probably is something that restaurants need to pay more attention to, and having, partners and resources to help them do so, not feeling like they have to do it themselves. A grant program like the Little Village Chamber program, that is the goal, is to make sure that these businesses can set something up. So we talked about the point of sale, we talked about the handhelds. Let's talk a little bit more about online ordering. And so Nopalito is a great resource for restaurants to do this in-house, but let's also talk about, the third-party apps. What are the benefits? What are the downsides to using, Grubhub and Uber Eats as opposed to taking orders on your own website?
Yeah, so snowballing off of what Javier said, like that's like a perfect world, right? Like having the money, having the capital to have employees with a tablet, or with or being able to afford these third-party ordering platforms such as Grubhub, Uber Eats, DoorDash. But let's just be really honest. A lot of the restaurants, a lot of the small businesses in our neighborhoods. I'm from the south side of Chicago. I grew up in Pilsen, and I currently live in Ashburn. We don't have those types of resources, and these large platforms are very predatory on these businesses. They take $99 to $300 in activation fees alone. They take 15 to 30% of your income. And if you are a small business, if you're like a taco joint in La Vida, who already doesn't really know anything about tech, you're gonna be really weary and you're not gonna onboard. And like how Javier said, like there's a lot of businesses who have tried, but they aren't seeing any of the benefits because they're pitted against large corps like McDonald's or Taco Bell. They're gonna go with the brands that they kind of know. So the benefits of third party, like yes, like you can get your branding out there. You can have that easy access to like drivers. You don't have to personally vet them. You won't have to, see if they have valid insurance, see if they are compliant. That's all handled by the third party processor, right? Versus being in-house, you have to account for vehicle expenses, you have to account for gas, you have to make sure that your drivers are, have their valid driver's license. You have to do a lot of the paperwork, and this is time that a lot of our businesses don't have. And like Javier said, a lot of folks have operated their business a certain way for so long that this new wave of like compliance, of new rules kind of like escapes some business owners. The goal of El Nopalito is to go from being more of a manual delivery company. Like I said earlier, we operate off of Google Forms right about now. Like we are very manual, but the goal is to provide a third-party delivery solution for small businesses that is affordable. We do not want any of these large corporations on there because we want you to see the value. We want our businesses to have their brands recognized. We want to partner with companies like Food Hero, like Science on Call, that can help bring all of these businesses to the forefront of tech, so that we can tap into the power in our communities, because that's something that is needed, and it's a problem that needs to be solved. Yeah, that's pretty much that's meat and potatoes of it.
Yeah,
that's the problem.
I threw this slide in there just to show an example, and I'm sure a lot of you have probably seen the picture, the famous picture of the Grubhub deposit showing, over $1,000 in sales, and then the end deposit being only $300. So a lot of these restaurants, and if you don't know this already, restaurants run on very slim margins, sometimes 5 to 10% if they're lucky. And so if you're giving 15 to 30% of that profit back to, Grubhub or Uber Eats, that is, running you out of business. And so if we can find more resources like Nopalito to give a lot of the same benefits of the third-party apps, while also the benefits of taking orders in-house, that is a really great resource. And so I also threw a couple other examples in here of ways that operators can take this process in-house. So Square is a very popular point of sale we work with that also has the ability to set up an online store, all with your same menu, with the ability to choose different add-ons and keep all of that visibility in the cloud. So if you're an operator and you're running around all day picking up ingredients and whatever operators are doing on a day-to-day, they can view their orders and their sales from any device, which is really, really a great tool. And that's one that's very affordable, very low processing fee. If you look at the Grubhub and Uber Eats and DoorDash, if you're paying 15%, and yeah, you do get the benefits, but an option like Square or Cash Drop is another really great tool out there. Your fees that you're paying are much lower. It's somewhere around 3% per order. There's other options like Gloria Foods is another tool that you can use to set up online ordering. These tools are all web-based. You can just log in, set up an account, set up, if you have a device already, like an iPad or a tablet, you don't have to invest a lot of additional money to set something like this up. You may still need a partner to do some of that if setting up an account is difficult, or making sure that your device is connected to the internet, making sure that your menu is correct, making sure that your menu in person is reflective of what orders you can actually deliver. So if you're making a very fine dish of a steak dinner, but it doesn't travel very well, maybe you don't want to put that on your website for online ordering. Is there anything that you're doing, Mila, as far as like helping restaurants with that side of things, like the packaging, the regulations? I know you had some notes on this slide. I'll jump ahead a little bit, but like the compliance, knowing like what insurance to have, what to pay drivers and things like that.
Yeah, so we don't really do anything in regards to like ensuring that the food is we don't really do much in regards to like making sure that the food is like ready to eat once it gets there, besides making sure that it gets there quickly. So we pride ourselves on being really, really fast. We pride ourselves on knowing our neighborhoods, and we are also COVID-19 certified. So we had to take a COVID-19 delivery course, which it went over if we are compliant with how to deliver, maintaining that 6 feet, and making sure that we don't place food if it's a certain number of inches from the floor. The number, let's see. And then in regards to wages, many in-house delivery companies for Southside and Westside businesses, they still operate off book and on cash. So some drivers are receiving, $2 per delivery and hoping for a cash tip. So that doesn't really, that's not really COVID-19 safe, because they're waiting around for a cash tip, which has to be handed to them. So that also kind of defeats the purpose on keeping our employees safe and things of that nature. Insurance, all of our drivers are insured. We need to make sure that the driver's license are valid, and the vehicles are insured for their personal insurance, but also for a business. A lot of insurance companies will offer a type of ride sharing or delivery insurance. If you are partnering with third parties like Uber Eats, you have to have a business type of car insurance for your vehicle, or else your insurance will drop you if they find out. So then that's also another area that drivers need to be well they need to be well educated, and because a lot of these folks, they go for like a job and they want to remain safe while being able to provide for their families, but they also have these third party, like, yeah, just sign on, just be a driver, and then they get a call from their insurance that they've been dropped. So that's also another issue, and we always try to educate our drivers on that also.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
no, that's really great. I think you touched on a lot of points that I even don't know a lot about. I've never driven for a third-party delivery company, but you don't always think about the logistics. I think a lot of operators, when we say in-house delivery, they think, okay, well, I'll just put a menu on my website, people will order, and then I will just drive and deliver the orders. But there's a lot of legal issues behind that, a lot of efficiency issues. Like, the owner probably shouldn't be driving around all day delivering orders. They should be working on marketing and sales and staff and training and things like that. And so I think it's great to have a resource that helps them walk through that process.
Yeah, absolutely. So as I heard Mila, I think another way how I'm interpreting, this slide and a lot of things that we've said is it's pretty simple, right? If I do the delivery in-house, these are the things I need to be aware, right? The technology behind it, the number of drivers,
Insurance,
compliance, the insurance,
training.
and training. By the way, surfsafe.com, which is from the National Restaurant Association, has some free training courses on COVID, online delivery specifically, along with all the surf safe, food safety, classes for all the operators. But I've always get the question, and it's like, how can we do it where it's free or low low startup, for these restaurants? And the question is, it's not that simple. It's not that easy. That's the reason we haven't seen a lot of businesses do the delivery in the past, because all the compliance regulatory. However, it's not out of this world. They could do it in-house, and maybe they need to do a pilot. Maybe they need to check with their insurance carrier as well as their accountant, making sure that they're in compliance. Start with one driver and see how they can scale. If not, then consider the third-party platforms that are out there, like we're talking today about Mila's organization. I think, or even if you consider some other platforms, just know the main difference, because I think we're grouping everybody one and the same. It's the online ordering and the delivery. There are two components that need to take place at the same time. The other guys combine them together, but as we said, they're taking 15 to 30%. But if you separate them, I think you can go much further. I know me personally in our business, we're limited to a certain radius if we use these third-party platforms. But if we build our own system in-house, it gives us more flexibility, not to mention cost savings for our consumers as well as for us. So I just wanted to put that out there again in perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. I threw this in there just as a little note about delivery again, that one of the competitive advantages to using an Uber Eats or Grubhub is that they can offer things like free delivery to customers. And sometimes I'm sure all of us have used Uber Eats or Grubhub or DoorDash at some point, and they offer these great perks to customers like, yeah, your first order is free delivery, which is great, but that's why more customers are moving towards those third parties because they like the coupons. So other creative ways that you can do the same and encourage customers to order direct is offer them a coupon if they order directly from your website, or offer a free item or discount, so that they're not persuaded to use those third-party apps that are going to take a larger fee. You want to encourage the later, ordering directly. So we talked about point of sale. We've talked about the third-party delivery, and like Javier said, there's the online ordering aspect, and then there's the delivery aspect. All of this has to work together. We've also talked about meeting customers where they want to, how they want to order, where they want to order. Do they want to order online? Do you still have customers calling? A lot of customers that we're seeing on our end, a lot of our restaurants, they have a phone at their location, but they're actually telling people to order online because it's taking up too much of their time to be answering the phone all day, punching in orders into a point of sale. So another option would be to take orders via text. So you're not struggling to answer the phone while you're flipping burgers. You can allow customers to order via text, and then you don't have to worry about answering the phone right that second. And so this is just another just idea that I'm going to throw out there for operators to consider. A couple of questions that you need to be aware of, though, is what are the costs to setting something like this up? If you don't already have a phone system, what are the costs of setting that up? There's actually a lot of really great options out there. You don't have to go with your regular business phone anymore. You can use a web-based phone service, voice over IP service, like Ring Central or Google Voice, and you can use any device that you already own. So you can use your cell phone. Maybe you have an iPad that you have in the office at your business to take those orders. Again, though, this relates to the internet problem. If you don't have internet, you're not going to get those text messages. There are some other tools out there, like YepChat is one that you can set up to actually take orders and payment via phone. So if a customer says, I want 2 tacos, you can charge them payment through the text. But a lot of times we're just seeing that it's easier to integrate that service with your point of sale. So maybe a customer texts the order and then you're punching it into the point of sale and processing it when they come in. So if the customer wants to pay cash, they can still do that, but they don't have to wait in line to place the order. It's already placed, the second that they texted in the order.
Louisa, are they texting the business phone number, or is there a separate phone number for online for the text ordering?
So you can do it either way. You can have so if you already have a phone number for your business, you can route that phone number to one of these services like Ring Central or Google Voice. You don't have to change your phone number. And both of these services, you can receive phone calls and text messages. So it would be the same phone number.
Got it.
So
when I first heard about this service, I was really impressed. And I personally, haven't seen it, but I was thinking about that, operator that's really not connected with technology, but maybe they are open to implementing some type of ordering system. This I felt was a little more friendlier to some operators, because I think they could connect with a text message or adopt that in their business, and with the hopes that eventually, they can move on to an online platform. But at least, for text messaging, I think I felt like maybe that could be a nice starting point for some,
Yeah.
right? I also like it because I think text messages has a 90% open rate, right? That's another way of staying connected with your customer. And so, yeah, I really would like to see this being implemented more, especially for those businesses that, still a little confused about technology. Here's a very simple way of being able to increment your business, but at the same time, not have this fear factor of the technology.
Yeah, and of course there's still the cost of, forwarding your old phone number, your old phone service, canceling that and switching to a voice over IP system. We help with that all the time. It's something that we pride ourselves in, because phone is a very popular mode of communication. And if you don't have a phone number or you're not answering basic questions like, are you open? You're going to lose customers. If they come by your business and they saw that you were open online and turns out you're closed, they might not come back because they don't
Yeah.
trust your hours. And so you could use it for things like that, just taking questions and, maybe it's the owner answering the text. Maybe it's a manager or a server. You can have it work any way that works for your business. We have customers that their phone forwards to someone's cell phone late at night when they're closed, so that someone's still answering, or
Yeah.
during different time of days it goes to voicemail or something like that.
I also like the idea of using it as a customer service channel.
Yeah.
I personally don't like to get on phone calls as often, but I want to know that I'm being heard, and not just through text messaging. I think we live in a day and age also where our Twitter accounts, our Facebook Messenger accounts, they serve as customer service channels. And so during the pandemic, these were some of the channels that I was using to reach out to businesses. Well, these are the channels that we need to be present because once again, who is our customer? What are the different ways they love to communicate? And I love the ones that if I send a message on Messenger or on Twitter, I get a response and I know that they're present. And I love businesses that are present. I always label a business when I look at their news or their feed or their thread, however you want to call it, and then I've seen they haven't posted something in months.
Yeah.
It also tells me, they're probably not engaged with their customer.
Yeah.
And to me, that's a red flag. So going back to the text messaging, I actually used this during the pandemic to reach businesses, but also to provide links because maybe they didn't have an email account or maybe they're not active, with their emails. But text messaging, as I mentioned, everyone has a phone. Everyone should be looking at those messages.
Mm-hmm.
This is another reason why I love, this service.
Yeah, definitely. And really quickly, I'll just touch on digital menus. I know we only have a few minutes left, but maybe you're using this text message service to send customers your menu. Everyone knows that with COVID, businesses are trying to be more contactless, so that includes your menu. How can you display your menu? Maybe you're still taking customers in person, but you don't want them touching physical menus anymore. You can use things like a QR code. You can even just print a photo of your menu and put it up somewhere big in your restaurant for people to look at, and just really encouraging customers to maybe use their own device that they know is only full of their own germs and not other customers' germs. But QR codes are something that all of a sudden became very popular with COVID. And it's as easy as, Googling QR code generator. And if you already have a photo of your menu, if you already have a menu on your website that you're updating consistently, you can just have customers point their phone at that code and take you directly to that page as a customer, place an order. And that's really easy to set up. Most of these generators are free. As long as you have a printer, you can print out these little codes and put them on tables or in front of your restaurant to push people to order online.
Awesome.
I won't talk too much about the internet connection because we've already talked about it, but none of this works without a stable internet connection. And this is something that we see constantly with our customers is internet outages. So if your internet goes down, those third-party orders coming through those tablets will not come through. And that's a huge problem, especially if that's a majority of your orders. And this can be anything from an individual outage on a device. It can be, you know, an area outage. We also help restaurants with the implementation. So when you're opening a restaurant, something that operators don't always think about is, where is my point of sale going to be? Where is my phone going to be? What about printers? This is something that we help with as well, because you can't rely on a wireless connection all the time. People think, oh, I'll just use Bluetooth printers and Bluetooth wireless phones. We see more issues with that than not. So a lot of times we are switching people from a hardwire or from a wireless printer to a hardwired printer so that they don't miss those orders. And we also help them set up redundant internet connections. We had one customer that lost internet connection on a busy Saturday, and we had set them up with a backup connection. Otherwise, they would have lost over $2,000 in orders that day. It's a story we tell all the time. 2,000 orders could have been saved with a simple backup connection that cost them somewhere around $40 to $80 a month. And that's just that redundancy, making sure that you can still take those orders. All right, well, this is sort of summing up our services and how we can help restaurants who don't have that tech savviness. We're all available people who work with restaurants, and I think we have an opportunity here to save the restaurants that don't know how to do this stuff themselves. Sometimes it's just a single owner that's doing all of this work and trying to figure it out. Sometimes they have a manager, sometimes maybe even they have an IT person already. We do work with some businesses that have an outsourced IT company, but that company doesn't answer their calls on nights or weekends, or doesn't understand delivery services and everything that goes into that. So something that we pride ourselves in is triaging those issues. So, you know, if there's an issue with Nopalito, we'll go directly to the source and make sure that we can solve that on behalf of our customer. Do either of you want to talk a little more about like next steps if a restaurant needs help?
Yeah, so I just want to open to everyone. You know, Food Hero is a resource. We provide technical assistance to a lot of the small businesses. And so if it's, as you see on the slide, just for a consultation, a free, you know, just a conversation, letting us know where you're at and, you know, what's the headache, right? What's the pain point? We are more than happy to provide the tools or the resources needed. Obviously, if you need a little bit more handholding or a little bit more in-depth type of service, obviously we can have that conversation. And I think I speak for everyone here, you know, today. You know, we're all business owners, but at the same time, you know, I think in one way or other, either we're personally mission driven or business mission driven as well, because we know that restaurants, the industry as a whole, is in dire need of the services that we're talking about today. And so I just you know, want to share that we're here to make sure that you succeed first, and provide the necessary means that, you know, that we have in our arsenal to share that with you to become successful. So I just wanted to add that in addition to the Little Village, you know, grant, you know, feel free to also share, message me or send me an email or call me. I'd be more than happy to share other resources of financing or grants that I come across if it can help you, you know, during these times.
Great. Yeah, I think hopefully we can get this recording shared, and if any of you on this call that I know personally want to share it around with your network, we're going to try and do a few more sessions like this on a specific topic. So this one was on online ordering, but we also talked about point of sale and text to order and a lot of great things. So hopefully we'll keep diving into those specific topics as especially as the grant program progresses and we're working with operators that need help on these areas, and we can share those experiences and hopefully get more restaurants on board with getting support they need. All right.
Cool.
I will see you all later. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.